Good morning. First of all, thank you for EDP and also to Automobility to have us here today to really have a little discussion about the future of the automotive industry. A quick apology though, first of all, I saw on the previous presentation the hover car, and I'm not going to announce any future hover cars from Nissan today. But what I am going to talk about is our vision of intelligent mobility and how this intelligent mobility strategy is happening now and how it will go forward in the future. So first of all, we have a problem. That problem is something that's very personal to me, which I'll touch on in a moment, but that problem is affecting us in cities across Europe today. We have pollution that is running out of control, air pollution. It's not some far-off problem in Beijing. It's not some far-off issue that is not affecting our lives today. And on top of that, we have congestion. Now, pollution and congestion, you think, okay, but what does it really matter? Well, pollution is about health, and health is about people going to work every day and delivering for their economy and delivering for their businesses. And congestion is about time, and it's a very obvious phrase and an old phrase, but time is money. So if we don't get to grips with this as a European society, how are we going to be competitive on the world stage as we move forward through to 2020 and beyond? So for me, this problem is something that our intelligent mobility strategy absolutely needs to address. But beyond there, I live in Paris. My accent perhaps doesn't give that away, but I live in sight of the Eiffel Tower. And as a Brit living in Paris, there's many challenges. But one of the real challenges is actually trying to explain to my daughter why on occasions when we have pollution peaks, she's not allowed to go outside at lunchtime at school and have a kickabout with her friends. That is a real problem for me. So I'm very pleased and I have an absolute pleasure to run electric vehicles for Nissan Europe, and it is a challenge as well, and I'll go into some of those challenges. But our strategy around intelligent mobility is there for two reasons. It's there to deliver zero emissions and zero fatalities in the long term. And I want to talk to you a little bit about how we're trying to go about that today and put those building blocks in place. Intelligent mobility is Nissan Intelligent Mobility. It's a word that's probably similar to many of the automotive manufacturers. So I wanted to break it down into three simple chunks. First of all, intelligent power, then intelligent drive, and intelligent integration, which is perhaps more linked to the presentation we've just seen. Intelligent power is something we started maybe in 2010. We really wanted to start moving towards a zero-emission society. And to do that, we needed to change the dynamic. We're never going to get to the point where we can deliver an internal combustion engine that delivers zero emissions. Now, many might question, and there was some of the topic earlier in the round table, we're discussing the problems of generating that power in the first place. But let's start with the battery. So since 2007, we've been investing over $4 billion in that battery technology. And we're going to continue to invest in that battery technology to try and deliver longer range vehicles for our customers. It's absolutely vital that throughout all of the technology and all of the integral discussions about what technology you need to move towards a better sustainable mobility solution, that we don't forget our customers. They want to go further and they want less hassle in their mobility. But on top of that, it's about making sure that the electric vehicle can charge. And since 2007, we've been putting in place, in a collaborative manner, charging locations across Europe. Now, most people in forums like this talk just about quick charging solutions. And quick charging solutions is absolutely the start. At a European level, there's a 0.92 correlation between a quick charging coverage and the electric vehicles we sell. It's not just about the incentives, it's about providing customers with the ease of mobility around their city and between cities. But beyond the quick charger, we've discovered from listening to our customers that actually they don't use these quick chargers as much as we think they do. Taxi firms do, businesses do for sure, but the private individual, the vast majority of time, they're charging at home. And that's actually one of the barriers. Yeah? If you can't charge at home, what solution is in place for that person to be able to charge on the street? So working in that collaborative manner, we're going beyond just looking at the home, we're going to businesses. We're working with businesses to make sure that they have the ability to put in charging solutions for their staff. And beyond there, we're working with municipalities, and we would welcome discussions with any municipality to understand how we can go in and support the introduction of charging solutions, not quick charging solutions, but day-to-day charging solutions for people to charge overnight. One of the lovely things, and I was here in Lisbon in October, November time at a conference, lovely things about my job is I get to listen to customers. And when I listen to them, what I've discovered is they're starting to move to this world. If you own an electric vehicle, not just borrow one for a few days, but actually own it, you move to this world of a top-up culture. We've all got an iPhone or a Samsung. You're getting used to this idea of topping up. But with an electric vehicle, with any vehicle, 90% of the time your vehicle is not driving. So how do we put in place charging points to make sure that whenever your vehicle is not moving, it's being topped up, so that your vehicle is always able to go further than you ever thought? So what does it all mean? Well, we've delivered now over 250,000 electric vehicle sales worldwide, 250,000. And when I wrote this slide a couple of months ago now, what I've realized is I'm going to have to update these slides ever and ever quicker, because the pace of change is frightening. The number of electric vehicles we're selling in Europe is significantly more in 2016 than it was in 2015, and that pace of change is going to continue to accelerate. You look at technology introduction, and they talk about the S-curve, a really simple idea, that at the beginning, refrigerators, microwaves, TVs, flat-screen TVs, they're slow to take off. They're a little bit more expensive. It's the early adopters that go from it. It's the people who want that technology first that go for it. But are we hitting this bottom of the S-curve? Are we starting to accelerate? I think in many countries in Europe and many towns and cities in Europe, we absolutely are. But I come back to the problem that we have. It's, okay, so we're putting electric vehicles on the marketplace. I'm selling more than I have done last year. But what does it actually impact us from an environmental perspective? We've now got over 3 billion kilometres of electric vehicle movement across the planet. That's taken out over 500 million tonnes of CO2 that would otherwise be there. That's starting to be a sizable impact on the environment. But it's more than the broader climate change. It's more than the broader discussion around CO2. It's actually about towns and cities across Europe that we all live in that are important. So we'll continue to invest in electric vehicles. We'll continue to believe that it is the most viable form of mobility to move towards a zero-emission society. But beyond there, there's an awful lot more to do. Intelligent drive is something that we're starting to hear a lot about. Everyone's a little bit perhaps scared on the one side, excited maybe on the other, about moving towards a world of autonomous mobility. Well, intelligent drive for us is not about autonomous mobility today. It's about putting in place technologies that customers want. It's so easy to get caught up in the technology of it and the excitement of hands-off driving, feet-free driving, sitting in the back seat while your car drives itself. But actually, if you look at it, the car industry has been introducing technologies to the mass market for many years now that have been making driving safer. And making driving safer and more pleasurable is how we look at intelligent driving. Today we have a round view monitor on the Nissan Leaf, on the Nissan Qashqai. It gives you the ability to see all the way around you when you park. Many, many other manufacturers do as well, of course. Tomorrow, when you start moving forward, we're going to be introducing autonomous features onto vehicles like the Nissan Leaf in a staged approach, so that we're delivering value to our customers and delivering something that our customers actually desire and actually can get to grips with and trust. People don't want to buy technology that they don't trust. They need their vehicle to be trusted. So we're moving step by step. We will be working in a very open and transparent way with our technology. And we demonstrated that just 2 or 3 weeks ago in London, where we had 2 Nissan Leafs kitted out with our ProPilot technology features. And we drove for 20 minutes around London in multiple circuits. We didn't do this in some private test at night time. We did this in a test with the London Transport Association, with journalists, with me, a little bit worried about that. But absolutely fine. Of course it's fine, because we've been testing this technology and working collaboratively with the right partners to put this technology onto these vehicles. And we'll continue to do that, and we'll take these technologies from the testing ground into our vehicles starting now. On top of this though, if you think about why autonomous mobility is important, for me, you can think about, I don't want to lose control of my driving. But that's very selfish. The vast majority of people here are in the driving age. We can drive. We have a driver's license. What about people who've had to give up driving? Don't they deserve the chance to have a personal mobility solution beyond having to pay for a taxi? Putting on the autonomous features onto our vehicles can help extend mobility into older age. I think it's a really important point that no matter what we do with our technology, we never lose sight of why we're putting it on our vehicles and what the customer benefit could be. The final part of intelligent mobility is about integration. Now, intelligent integration takes several forms, so I've got a couple of different slides here to talk about this. But first and foremost, the Nissan Leaf that we launched in 2010 was our most integrated vehicle to date. When we launched this vehicle, it came with the ability to turn on and off your charging with your mobile phone so that you could control the time you were charging your vehicle, so that you could reduce the cost of charging your vehicle. We also had the ability to turn on the air conditioning or the heating. Norway is our biggest market, and it's the most loved feature there because at the end of the day, if you want your vehicle to be nice and warm when you're driving it to work, but you don't want to impact the charge of the vehicle, you charge it with the hour before using your mobile phone. That's a very simple, basic building block, a very simple value added to the customer. But of course, we need to go beyond that, and we're continuing to do that. So when we're bringing these technologies into the market, I fundamentally believe we need to do that in a way that is accessible. That is why when we launched the new Nissan Micra this month, it's not one of my products, but it's one of Nissan's flagship vehicles and most loved vehicles over the last 20 or 30 years in Europe. The Nissan Micra now comes with a new way to purchase it in France. So you can club together with 3 or 4 of your friends through the integration on a mobile service and actually purchase a vehicle together. So integration can start facilitating new purchase models, new ways of doing business, new ways of integrating, as we heard in the previous presentation, of integrating with other people to generate revenue and to generate business. On top of that, what else can integration do? Well, electric vehicles, one of the challenges is where do we get the energy from? There's no point in just removing the problem from cities to producing energy outside of the cities, although I still think that is better, and certainly the facts prove that it has less of an impact on the environment. But we need to build these vehicles in the first place. At Nissan, we produce enough solar and wind power in our factory in Sunderland to build the Nissan Leaf, for example. But actually, what I'm talking about here is the ability to use the electric vehicle and use the battery within inside the electric vehicle to rapidly grow the ability to move towards solar, towards wind power across Europe. A couple of different ways of doing that. First of all, X-Storage. Now, we've launched X-Storage this year. We've launched it, people are starting to purchase this, and it'll be fitted in homes later in 2017. X-Storage essentially is starting off by taking away our Nissan batteries out of the Nissan Leaf that have outlived the usefulness of their vehicle. So the first vehicles that launched back in 2010 in the US, we're starting to buy some of those batteries back. Those batteries have a value of around 1,000 to 2,000 euros. Packaging them up with our partners at Eaton, working in collaboration again, that's that word that's absolutely fundamental to this. We then go and sell these batteries and these battery packs to consumers. They'll go into people's homes and they'll start providing a backup storage solution for them. But it's not only a backup storage solution. In Germany, there's 1.5 million households that have solar panels. Now, Germans like to think of themselves as a rational group. Now, it might sound a bit disparaging. My wife's German, so I feel I'm allowed to say that. But I've never really understood why they have all of these solar panels over so many carports and none of them have a battery. And they're all out during the day working. So it doesn't quite make sense. We need to be able to store that solar power during the day and reuse it at the time of peak use. 5, 6, 7 o'clock at night. If you've been storing solar power all through the day, you can then run your household for free during the evening. Or you can charge your car for free during the evening. So it's a very simple way of doing it. But we don't want to stop at people and at people's households. We've also already been working with businesses, big and small, and with the national grids across Europe. So our office, I work in our operations centre in Europe, based in Paris, as I mentioned. We're moving in a few short weeks. And that new office that we're moving to, it's actually a very, very old office that we're refitting and refurbishing. And we're doing that with these batteries. We're doing that with solar panels, so that we can start managing our footprint on the environment and not just talk about what people should do, but do it ourselves. On top, it's about going to grid management. Now, we've recently announced a partnership with the Amsterdam Arena, where they've purchased around 280 Nissan Leaf battery packs. These will be going into their stadium. They're going into their stadium because they have a long-term vision about how to reduce their footprint on the environment and how to become and use sustainability as a message to become the leading football stadium in Europe. Now, the Amsterdam Arena will kit itself out with solar panels over the top of their stadium. It'll have these batteries in place, but most importantly, it'll look beyond there to work with the society at large to reduce the overall impact on the environment of enjoying yourself. So whenever the game is not on, whenever the concert is not on, these batteries will be there as a grid balancing service. So they're connected and integrated into the grid so that the Amsterdam energy grid can use the Amsterdam Arena to draw down power in times of peak use and push power back to it in times of oversupply. And of course, the Amsterdam Arena wins because they earn money out of that. Beyond the X-storage, there's a few facts and figures on the slide which you can read into. There's already a storage device in the car. Earlier last year, we worked with world-renowned architects, Foster & Partners. Now, Foster & Partners worked with us to really try and understand what does a fuel station of the future look like. And what they said is, guys, you're quite silly, really. The fuel station is in your vehicle. Your vehicle and the technology that you're putting in place is a fuel station. It's a mobile fuel station. Whenever it's parked, if you've integrated it into the grid in a smart way, you can use that in exactly the same way as our batteries will be used in the Amsterdam Arena by offering an energy balancing service. Now, that energy balancing service is quite complex. I'm not going to go into the exact way it works, but it works by minute balancing of energy coming into the car and out of the vehicle. We have 10 ENV200s in Denmark. Now, these ENV200s are used as utility vehicles in one company. They drive around as normal utility vehicles every day, but when they're parked, they access the grid, and they're connected through our vehicle-to-grid service. The revenue that we generate from these vehicles is €45 per week per vehicle. Now, if you think of it from a business perspective, not only is this business able to say we're the most sustainable business in Denmark, but they can also turn around and say, and we've lowered our running costs of our utility fleet. It starts to come together, this idea of pollution, congestion, saving time, and saving money starts to come together into something that I think can work very, very well for our economy. So, to try and pull that together to something that hopefully you can take away and use and think about, we want to make intelligent mobility real for everyone, everywhere, every day. To do that, there's two simple elements that I think will allow us to make this a reality. First of all is collaboration. It's collaboration with the likes of Vodafone on the one side in terms of integrating from a communications perspective. It's collaboration with municipalities to understand the different needs in different cities and towns across Europe. Everyone has a different need and a different challenge. How do we adapt to that and support that? And it's also about collaborating with our competitors. The footprint that I talked about earlier of quick chargers across Europe was predominantly funded and delivered by Nissan. But it wouldn't have been delivered at all if we weren't working with the likes of Renault and our alliance partner, BMW, completely disconnected from our business, and with the European Council, the individual governments of each country, and with the network operators themselves, with new businesses that are springing up, seeing the opportunity in the electric vehicle market. But I come back to it, and I've tried to mention it throughout. Technology for technology's sake, we shouldn't go there. The reason the smartphone worked when Apple launched their smartphone is that people suddenly discovered that it was a benefit to them. They suddenly discovered it was fun and enjoyable to use. If we lose sight of what customers actually want when we're looking at autonomous drive, when we're looking at electric vehicles, when we're looking at integrating and connectivity and the Internet of Things, I think we lose sight of why we're going to work on a Monday morning. And for me, why I go to work on a Monday morning is to deliver a society one day that will be zero emissions and zero fatalities through mobility. Thank you.